I'm speaking to Michel Cousteau. Jean, tell us what you're doing at the minute for your Conservation Society.
Well, Ocean Fisheries Society has been created after my father passed away to honor his philosophy and to continue the work that I was involved with all along for the last more than 60 years since he pushed me overboard and I became an instant scuba diver. And there's a lot of work to be done. So we continue to be involved in producing television programs, and we very, very much and more so involved in educational programs.
Did you feel under a lot of pressure when you were pushed overboard to be a scuba diver?
No, I never did, because that was part of the family affair. At the time, my father was unknown, and my mother was there, my brother was there, and every weekend we were going diving. So it was just, I didn't know any better. That was our way of life as a family.
We were talking earlier about the effects on the environment that are currently happening now. Do you think that there's any way that we can turn this around?
Yeah, I really believe that with proper education we can turn things around. I think a lot of the damage that is being done is because of lack of knowledge. How can you protect what you don't understand? So we need to understand, and education I think is the answer. In addition to that, we need to have more and better dialogues with our decision makers, whether it's in politics or in industries. And we have found now that I've been involved in educational programs called Project Ocean Search many years ago. Now it's called Ambassador of the Environment, with people for 33 years. So now I'm getting feedback from those who were kids 25 or 30 years ago. Now they are adults, they have a job, they have a family, and they come back to us and they say, the experience that I had 25 years ago with you is impacting my decision-making process. So we know it works. Maybe not with everybody, but we know it works. So if we can reach young people, and the younger the better, by the way, because they're like sponges. They really suck in every information, and it will stay there, and it will come out later on when they become settled.
What programs do you run then with children, or do you think that we should be running with children to kind of get that across to them?
Well, we take them out of the school with their teachers, and we bring them to the shoreline, and we make them feel and touch the absolutely unquestionable relationship that exists between the ocean or water and the land, and how much we depend on that water for our life support system and the quality of our lives. So they have to touch and feel.
So the problem isn't really far away now. They can actually see it up close when you do that. By bringing them to the water, it's not something that's happening somewhere else. It's happening, they can see what's happening to them.
Well, they see it happen right there, and it doesn't have to be the ocean, by the way.
Yeah.
You can do it on a lake, a river, and we're doing that as well, and it works extremely well. In the process, they acquire self-confidence, and they also understand teamwork. Resolving problems where it needs several people to resolve the problem. So they search and then they assign tasks to one another to resolve the problem and see how successful they are.
For me, I've traveled the world, not as much as your father, but I've traveled enough to know that there is problems. I've spoken to you before about Malaysia. I've spoken about Egypt having problems. I think that a lot of the problems that are currently happening to us are happening in the less, not civilized, but less educated places. How do we get to those countries and convince those people that the overfishing is going to have an impact where there's poor education? How do we convince those sort of people that their livelihood is spent fishing?
Well, we have to start with ourselves.
Yeah.
And if you look at the industrial nations of the world, they are responsible for the great majority of all the problems. And I think we need to focus on that first. When you think that a nation like the United States of America, which represents 4% of the world's population, consumes between 20 and 25% of the world's energy, that's where you want to start. And then Western Europe, and then Japan, and then Australia, we can make a very substantial dent in the problem of using the ocean as a universal sewer, a dumping ground. We can change a lot of that with the chemicals, the heavy metals, all that fertilizers which are coming from these land masses into the ocean and are killing the ocean. We can change that. Number two, and it's education again. Number two, we can protect and restore some of the coastal habitats which we are destroying. Those are the nursing grounds of the oceans. And number three, we can stop harvesting and fishing everything out of the ocean. Third world countries are a little dent in that problem. Now, it doesn't mean we shouldn't do anything, we do, because they very much depend on the marine environment in many places for the quality of their lives. And if they keep destroying the coral reefs, for example, which are found, tropical coral reefs are found in about 85% of developing countries. So these people depend on the coral reefs for several things. One, food. They need the food. It's not going to come from somewhere else. Number two, these reefs are protecting their coastline from hurricanes, tsunamis, big wave action. You kill the reef, it crumbles, it becomes sand, there's no more protection anymore. And number three, the economy of many of these countries depend on tourism. And if tourists don't go there because the coral reefs are dead, the whole economy crashes.